The Can You Dig It Sports Radio Network is here. Revolutionize the game of media. Be a dig.
In order to beat Patrick Mahomes at Arrowhead, there was only one guy to do it, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots back in the 2018 AFC Championship game. And those guys are legends. They're probably the best head coach and the best quarterback of all time. And besides those two guys, no one had ever done it. And Mahomes, one thing that whenever Kansas City would be playing in these big games, you would always just be able to count on and expect Mahomes to bring his best game and for him to play well. And it was totally reasonable to think that Kansas City's offense put up a combined 84 points in the past two playoff games. Their offense was rolling. Even in the first half of this game, their offense was rolling. But at the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes played awful in the second half, and he cost Kansas City. When you're a quarterback that's that good and you're making that much money, you know, this kind of loss falls on you when you only have 80 yards in the second half passing. And it was just crazy because I think over the past couple of weeks, we've really seen like the gifts and the curses of having Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback on your team, because we know like when he's playing at his highest level, like we saw against Buffalo, like we saw against Pittsburgh, even the last 6 weeks of the season, he was just playing such great football. And that's the best of Patrick Mahomes. But when he's at his worst in a game like this, where Cincinnati's defense was able to hang in there and really frustrate him in the second half, and I even had some flashbacks of the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, they were really able to frustrate him, forcing him to leave the pocket too early, forcing him to turn around and try to, you know, flip around all these pass rushers, and ultimately that cost him. And the game really did turn on a dime when the half ended with that throw on fourth down to Tyreek Hill with 5 seconds left. Kansas City doesn't have any timeouts left. And look, credit to the Bengals. They took advantage of Kansas City's mistakes. Joe Burrow is a star. We're going to get into him more within this topic, I'm sure. But I'm not going to lie, Lil. Like, I really do think Kansas City choked this game away. I was very disappointed. And it, you know, when you have such a great head coach quarterback combination in Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, you know, those guys are champions. They're guys I trust. They're still great players, a great coach, Hall of Fame head coach. But it just shows you, like, we're going to get into Kyle Shanahan and, you know, what his decision making a little bit later, but it just really shows you how hard it is to win on a consistent basis in the NFL, which makes the Bengals win even more remarkable. So shout out to them. But those were my first instincts coming off of the game, that, wow, home game as a favorite, Kansas City just totally blew it.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you look at it, first off, I got to be slightly more impressed in the Bengals, you know, and the reason why I say that is a lot of people can say that Kansas City choked the game. Now, to be fair, anytime you have a lead, 21-3, couple scores, that's a choke. That's the definition of a choke. So I'm not going to argue that. But at the same time, I really felt that the Bengals won this game, me personally, more than the Chiefs choked this game. And the reason why was the adjustments. Now, I'm a big boxing guy, just like I'm a big football guy. Football, obviously, number one, kingpin. But boxing, as far as my personal favorite list, will hover over that number 2, 3 spot of my greatest sports. Now, one thing about boxing is that you could be losing a whole fight. And the moment you go to your corner and you come up with a new game plan and a new scheme and you get a knockout, that's no choke. You won the fight because you changed and altered your game plan to win the fight and showed that you were the better fighter that night. Now, with the Bengals, what they did in the second half defensively is what won them the game. They outright took over the game defensively. They stopped Patrick Mahomes. 8 straight possessions, only 3 points. That's unheard of. Kansas City, we all know, can put up points like that, but they did it. They did something to stop that offense, in which over the years, the last 4 years, the whole league couldn't do. They did it. It was them. They made the adjustments. They batted down the passes. I believe it was B.J. Hill batted down the pass, you know, caught the interception off the tip. And he was able to give them good field position on the offense to go and capitalize off of that and get back in the game. Andy Reid got greedy right before halftime. Take the points. There's 5 seconds left to go. The touchdown. No. That's not what you do. You have a field goal, 3 points in the bag. Get the points. He wanted to be cute. He wanted to be greedy. And the one thing I noticed about this Kansas City team is a cockiness. And granted, they have every right to be cocky. They dominated the league for the last 4 years. But at some point, you will meet your maker. When I came on this air, the last couple of years, and I said the league is catching up to Kansas City. The reason why I said that It's not because I hate Kansas City. I don't give a damn about Kansas City. That's some place out there in the old West, and I'm from the city, bright lights. But I'm not, concerned with Kansas City. Never had I hated Kansas City. The only thing that bothered me was that people went against what they knew to be knowledge in football. For example, winning 2 straight Super Bowls, that's hard to do with offensive linemen that are missing. The Buccaneers were bound to win that game the way how they were playing defensively, but people said, you know what? No. Patrick Mahomes, boy, that's the dude. He's one of the greatest to ever play the game already, booking his Hall of Fame already, and saying that he was arguably the GOAT. We gotta temper our expectations, and that's one of the things that bothered me about this Kansas City hype. Nothing against them; they didn't have an agenda against them. Is the fact that a lot of people went over what's known to be football knowledge. After some point in an NFL season, teams will catch up to what you're doing. They will try to take away what you're doing, and credit to Kansas City this year. They reversed it. They was like, all right, they take it away. Our big plays over the top. Now, patience, drive the football down the football field. I believe it was this running back, number 8, man, McKinney. I think his name is McKinney.
Yeah, number 1.
McKinney. He was a valuable part in this playoffs for Kansas City, what he was doing, catching the ball in space and doing stuff with the ball. That was a good addition. And they kind of, altered their way to prolong what is known as a dynasty, because it is 4 straight AFC championships. You're a dynasty mode. Now, the Bengals were their maker. They were their maker this year in the regular season, same fashion. Down 2 scores, came back and won the game. They did it again. So at the end of the day, I don't think it's more of a choke. Could you argue a choke? Partially, of course, but it's more of the Bengals winning this game because they did it again. They went into a hostile environment. 2 possessions in the fourth quarter. They held Kansas City to a field goal at the end when we all thought, Zach, I probably thought you knew what you thought, that Kansas City was actually going to score a touchdown and win the game. That's what I was saying. And they stopped Patrick Mahomes and was disciplined enough while he was rolling out the pocket to not let anybody, Tyreek Hill or Travis Kelce, get open in the end zone for a touchdown. They played defense. They had a pick 6 in the bag in overtime. It was dropped. They came back with the next exact play, got a tip and an interception. They won this game more so than the Chiefs choked this game away, and that's why I'm more impressed with the Bengals.
Yeah, I think from the Kansas City perspective, what's so interesting is, like, the Bengals defense, as you said, they made the right adjustments, but in the second half, they started playing that, like, too high safety look that has been frustrating the Chiefs. Really, like, that's been the blueprint on how to slow down Kansas City since the Bucs did it in the Super Bowl, and Kansas City struggled with that earlier this year, and it really cost them again in the AFC Championship game. And I think that's what makes this game, like, once again, props to the Bengals. Burrow made a number of big-time runs. Their defense stepped up. You could tell that the Bengals, as a team, just have a certain discipline that really, it might just be from Burrow and just his confidence, and it just really rubs off on the whole team. And, like, once again, the Bengals they're a good team, and they spent a lot of money in free agency on the defensive side of the ball, a lot of good moves that have paid off. But once again, like, obviously Jamar Chase is huge, but everyone else, Mixon and Boyd, Uzama, who unfortunately got hurt, like, all of these guys were here the last couple of years, and it just shows you Joe Burrow, 1 draft pick, could really just change everything. And in terms of one more thing I wanted to say about the call at the end of this first half, Patrick Mahomes as a quarterback just has to know, like, I have no problem with Andy Reid going for it and saying, okay, I want to score a touchdown. The only issue is everyone on the field has to know that if you are throwing a ball there, what happened, Tyreek Hill catching the ball at the 5-yard line as a safety blanket and getting tackled in bounds, that's probably the worst case scenario. That can happen. If you're going to throw the ball, it has to be in the end zone, and if it gets intercepted, whatever. Like, you could live with Mahomes making a mistake like that, but the fact that he made a mental error when he's usually the smartest person on the field, it was really the first time in his career where I saw a mistake he made just stay with him and stick in his head for the rest of the game, and it really ultimately cost Kansas City.
The thing that you said about the 2 high safety looks defensively is yes and no. The reason why I say yes and no is because everybody's playing that style, or everybody with common sense will play some form of 2 high safety against the Chiefs. You can't leave Tyreek Hill in man-to-man. He will burn you alive, all right? Listen, he outruns himself out of his own goals. Like, he's that fast. But the thing that the Bengals did that other teams failed to do, including Buffalo, was mix it up. They was able to get to Mahomes. They pressured Mahomes. So now you're taking away the big play, and now he's under duress in the pocket. Now he doesn't have that time to be patient because the clock is ticking in his head. What Buffalo did last week was 92% of the snaps play single high safety, and in the last possession with 13 seconds, they did the same thing, and they was able to take the little check downs and turn it into big plays and win that game. You got to be able to mix it up against Kansas City. Yes, you got to take away the big play, but if your front can get to Patrick Mahomes and cause havoc at the line of scrimmage, have him guessing and have him going back to some of the things that we see that partially could be tweaked from Patrick Mahomes' game, then you ain't going to win the game. The Bengals was able to do that. I knew that going into the matchup. I knew exactly what they were going to do. I just would have liked to seen it done in the first half, because one thing about Kansas City, 21-3, it's hard to stop that team that many times to narrow the gap and to tie the game and to eventually take the lead. It's hard to do that, and that's why I just leave this game so impressed with the Bengals. Now, the thing about the landscape of the AFC, when you got all these quarterbacks, the Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, the list goes on. We could potentially see already, right? The Chiefs being like LeBron James in the NBA. Because, listen, the Chiefs is always going to be there. They're always going to be there competing. They're a good team. They're a very good team. They're always going to be in every single game that you play them. The Chiefs, you're not going to run over the Chiefs ever. There's no team that's going to go there and run over the Chiefs. You will be in a dogfight. But the talent is so, wide in the AFC alone. I didn't even touch the NFC. The NFC got talent too, but the AFC with the quarterbacks is taking over the league. And you talk about 4 straight AFC championships, 1 Super Bowl out of it, So, listen, they could rebound from this. They're still a good team. But right now, I think the Bengals, they need their credit, and I'm down to give it to them. Listen, the Dolphins called the Bengals to trade. The report came out over the weekend. To trade 3 first-round picks to draft Joe Burrow. And one of the smartest things the Bengals did was hang up the phone and disconnect the phone. Because when you got a guy like that and you believe in that guy, you got to roll with that guy. And I think having the Dolphins watch them home, watch Joe Burrow lead this team to a Super Bowl, when they had the opportunity to get this guy, take a couple L's. Obviously, there's a lot of things going on with Brian Flores. I would love to get into that, in the episode this week for sure, because that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But to see Joe Burrow lead this team to a Super Bowl, I don't know what 5 wins is going to do for me 5 years from now. I know what it did for me at that time. It gave me a little confidence going into the year that we didn't even capitalize off of a build off of. We didn't make the playoffs 2 straight years. So I don't know what that 5 wins is going to do for the Dolphins long term when you just fired the coach and you still have an unproven commodity at the quarterback spot. But I do know what hanging up the phone did for the Bengals. It got them to the Super Bowl.
The Can You Dig It Sports Radio Network is here. Revolutionize the game of media. Be a dig.